am Dr. Joan Coleman, and the Exchange is exciting.
I'm Denise Cavalier. The Exchange is real.
I'm Carolyn Poinker. The Exchange is empowering.
I'm Donna Hutchinson. The Exchange is thought-provoking.
The Exchange, a Let Me Be Me podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Exchange. Are you doing too much? You're doing too much. Wait, before we get into it, let's introduce the ladies. Donna.
Hi, I am Donna Hutchinson. Happy to be here today.
Carolyn.
Carolyn Poinker. Hello, everyone.
And Denise.
Hi, Denise Cavalier. Good afternoon.
And this is The Exchange, where we are here to uplift, to empower, to motivate, to inspire, and to love on y'all, to affirm, and to let you know you're going to be all right. Listen, today we are talking about multitasking. Do you guys find yourself to be multitaskers? Are you always doing something when you're supposed to be doing something else?
I mean, beyond we set the same limits of such. I've really learned I do way too much, but we'll get into that. But yes, but recovering. We're trying to recover.
I just think as a mom, I don't know how you would survive not multitasking.
Yeah, even as a human being today, in today's world, I mean, it's busy. It's very hard to back out of that.
Yeah, but you see how everybody's like, it's something we have to do. But is it healthy for your brain? Or are you putting too much stress on your brain? Talk about it, Carolyn. You said no.
I think it's hard to get out of it, but we need to figure out ways to get out of it, because I don't think you're not thinking as clear. You're not thinking as you're doing more, but are you doing it well? Are you doing it effectively? Are you probably making a lot more mistakes?
Yeah.
And I think it's really stressful.
It is stressful. I wrote something down. It says, trying to multitask produce changes in the brain that could cause depression, anxiety, and lack of productivity, decrease in productivity. Do you find that to be happening to you?
1,000%. I find that the more I try to do, the less I actually get done.
Yeah.
It feels like it's a constant me trying to do all of the things instead of saying, okay, I'm going to do one thing and I'm going to do it well and I'm actually going to be fully present when I do it, instead of trying to grab and get everything done. And then it just never feels like you're getting anything done, because you will keep adding to the to-do list because you're not just focused. So very much so. Yeah.
Right. I am a multitasking queen.
Do you like it?
I do. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like when I'm doing a lot, the pressure is on, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. You know what I mean? And so I don't know if I like it, but I think it's effective. In my brain, I'm like, this is effective. Not thinking about I have to switch gears in my brain to do the task, which is not good for your brain. What do you say, Denise?
Yeah, I think for me it's a balance and being challenged. So I get bored if I'm not doing enough, or I feel like I'm slacking or whatever. But when I'm doing too much, like Carolyn was saying, I'm not effective sometimes. I'm making mistakes. I'm letting things are slipping through the cracks. And I really don't like that. I like to, I like my results to be good. So
well, how do you know when you're making mistakes? Because, I guess did somebody tell you, or do you just consciously know, that was crap?
Well, sometimes I pick up on it like, oops, yeah, I forgot 2 days ago somebody asked me to do something, and all of a sudden it rises to the top, So there's that, but then sometimes it will be people will call you out on, hey, you were supposed to do this, and, it slipped by. So, I'm trying to find a balance.
Yeah, yes, we all are. How do you feel about it, Donna?
I think it's really important to remember, and I try to take this for most things in my life, reminding that the world is constantly telling you, you need to multitask, you need to be doing more, you need to be productive, you need to do all these things. So it's really hard to pull back. It almost feels like a rebellion to do one thing at a time and be present, because you're like, no, wait, everything is reminding me that I'm not good enough, I'm not doing enough. So just always have that in the back of your mind, that we're being shown that all the time. So of course it's really hard to just stop and just do one thing, or we're told we need to be everything, especially as women. My goodness.
Yeah, I so agree with that. You know, we're hustle and grind. If you're not hustling and grinding, you're not doing anything. We're just put so much pressure is put on us to do. And if we're taking time to do one thing and to do it correctly, it's like, oh my God, I'm wasting so much time on this one project. Do you find that happening to you, Carolyn?
I mean, I think so. I think I'm thinking about this. I had this list once. It was like 6 pages long in one of my journals of to-do lists. And it was so ridiculous trying to get through it. So I tried to make a change of have the list at the back of my journal and every day move 5 things forward. Because then I feel like I could be like, oh, I only have these things to do. I can do this in a more orderly manner. Because I think if you're doing too much, it's like, I was walking around the house the other day with absence notes. I had to go to school. Couldn't remember for the life of me where I put them. It took me like 4 days to find them. And then I found them and I lost the other stack I had. And I was like, oh my God, this is like ridiculous. And it's like if we just took the time to do what I was doing, which was scan them so I could email them in the first time, I would have saved time. Mm-hmm. So I think that's what I think I'm seeing when I'm multitasking. It's actually taking me longer.
Mm-hmm. A decrease in productivity, and it takes longer to get done what you need to get done. And
you seem busy. You seem like, I'm moving, I'm doing all this. Yeah. Look at how cool I am.
Yeah. That is so funny because that is so true. We have to look busy, act busy to feel like we are accomplishing something. And you know what? This is going to take me a real turn. Does multitasking affect your mental health?
Yes. Talk about Donna. I saw your face and I was like, yeah, she got 2 yeses here. Definitely for me. I mean, I think it tires me out. I think especially now too, and I think some of it is contentment. For me, is that just being content, Donna, with like doing that one thing and enjoying it. And again, that being present is a big thing. And I think it really does affect me. I think it makes me tired and stressed. And so for me, in the new year, that's one of the things I'm looking at is really slowing down and being more focused. So
yeah, because you're not really taking care of your health if you're just overstimulating the brain, right?
Right. I actually, full disclosure, just cut my work week down to 4 days. And this has been such a mind game. You would think this is an easy thing to do and it should be nothing but joyful. My brain has been telling me, who do you think you are? Yeah. What are you doing? You're being irresponsible. Money, of course, is constantly chirping. My mental health has improved 20,000-fold since. And yet the value of the money and the productivity somehow in our culture, just the way it is, has so outweighed that mental peace. And I have to keep reminding myself, like, no, you are so much happier. You are so much more grounded and present and can get more done because you have space. But your brain will tell you, look, what are you doing?
Your brain will tell you that. And I agree 100%. You're doing this, you cut down, like I work from home and it's like, you should get a job. And I'm like, no, I'm sticking to plan A. And every day it's a tussle because you're supposed to be doing more. You're supposed to be getting more. I have a doctorate. You could get 6 figures, but this is what I enjoy doing. This is my passion. So your brain just tries to play games on you, like, no. But Carolyn, do you find that that's like a big part of your mental health, doing so much, switching here, focusing over there, does it play a big role in your mental health?
I think for me, negatively, it plays a role because that's when my negative self-talk kicks in. Oh, look at you, look at how many mistakes you made, look at what you forgot, look, you didn't do that right, look, and so it's hugely negative effect because I'm beating myself up, where if I had just been focused and doing one thing, I would have done it well. So it does. It's really important to think about it that way.
I think there's also an interesting point too of like, when you do stop, those negative voices do have space to come in, so it kind of does give them a little bit of space to jump in and give you a little bit of chirps, but the counter of that is if you're actually trying to relax and not be overly productive, the calm voice does start to come through. That's like, no, you're actually doing exactly what you're meant to do. But that chirpy voice is real loud. And sometimes people find it very hard to sit with those voices and that negative chatter because they have so much space. So they're constantly doing things in order to avoid anything coming up that they actually have to deal with. I think that's a big thing too.
And that's true, because now you work 4 days, you have 1 day off, so that whole day.
It's got time to spin and spiral. But the counter to that is just sitting and just seeing the voices, because that's all they are. Yeah. So then it's, once you get to the other side of that, there's peace, but you got to kind of work through that, and people don't want to sit in that space. Keeping you busy avoids those emotions and chatter and all of that stuff.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah. Like when we're busy, we're not as in touch with our inner being, right? And you're right, Donna. I think, when you have to sit with that a while to let it come up, and you get a lot of growth that way too when you're more in touch with yourself. Yeah, I do.
It's hard.
Yeah,
it's not easy.
No, it's not easy. But when you have space and those voices come in, most of the time it's because of fear. You talk about, okay, you won't have enough money. What are you doing sitting home? You're wasting time, and that's fear saying you're not going to make it. You don't have enough. So how do we quiet those voices? Because it says here, when you multitask, it increases stress. The brain is meant to concentrate, is designed to focus on one thing at a time, not multiple things. So how do we break that cycle of fear being a part of, oh, you're not doing enough, you're not hustling, you're not grinding? How do we break that, guys?
We hang out with Donna more.
That's so sweet, thank you. I mean, even for me in this 4-day work week example, I had to just sit with it and say, I feel this discomfort. I feel this inadequacy. I feel
it's
this.
Practice, right?
Yeah.
It's practice. It's practicing.
So you acknowledge it.
And then practice the positive self-talk of I'm doing it this way because this is going to bring me to my goal. I've decided that this is a priority, right? But it's work. I don't want to even say the word practice. It's work. Sometimes it's exhausting work to stay on that path that you've chosen.
To shut down the voices, to say, listen, I'm going to be okay. I trust the process. So how many of us can truly say, I trust the process without thinking, oh, I got to go do something. I got to go do something. I got to make something happen. I mean, do you ladies find that? Are you trusting the process, or are you always like, I got to go do something?
I think it's a good day, bad day thing for me. Like I have days where I'm like, feeling the inner peace and, feeling really connected. And then other days, and you don't even always know why. Sometimes you just wake up and your mind is just way too busy and you feel stressed and anxious, and or you get a bill, an unexpected bill in, right? And right away it goes to the dollar signs and the panic. And so I think, for me, it's good days and bad days.
Good days, bad days. Carolyn, how about for you?
Recently I gave up a couple of volunteer things I did. And I think if I'm really honest, I've been thinking about giving them up for over a year. It took me a year to say, this isn't working anymore. This is too much. This being on my mind, knowing I have this, even if it's once a month or twice a month, was too much. So I don't know. It's work. It's work. It's work.
It's work. It's always work. If you want anything good, you got to work for it. And you know what, too? You said something. Saying no. It's okay to say no. You don't have to, and that will take away some of this multitasking things that we're doing. Do you find it difficult to say no?
Very much so. And to talk about what Carolyn said, you're now dealing with other people's expectations and other people's perceptions of you and what you should be doing. And that's really hard to break. And I feel like that's a big time childhood conditioning for me too, is to cater to other people's feelings. So starting to set the boundary and say no is a huge task, and it is breaking through, generational cycles of people pleasing and overdoing, and that's why we're all tired.
And that's the truth too. Do you find it difficult to say no?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm starting to practice that and doing better at it, but definitely, feeling, I do.
You feel like
It's
it's
still a struggle for me. Yep.
yeah.
And I already have a lot on my plate, and then somebody will come to me and they have an issue, and emotionally I sort of get drawn into how can I help. So that's usually the downfall for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, we want to help. We want to help. And that's why it's so hard to say no, because we want to be this person that helps others and so on and so forth. But sometimes you're like this, like, oh, I should have said no, Do you find that, like, I should have just said no?
Well, actually, I want to tell you about saying no yesterday. Well, I said yes, and then I said no, and it really was kind of funny. So I run this group with 2 other women once a month at night. That's the only volunteer thing that I kept in my life for right now. And our speaker, we had 100 people signed up for Zoom for this meeting, and we're normally in person, but this was a special event. She canceled about 3 hours before she had the flu. Totally understood, but we were like, what? So they called me, the other 2 women who I work with, and they're like, what can we do? We talked about it. And I'm like, they're like, can you talk tonight? Can we still have the meeting and you'll share what you know about this topic? So I said yes. And then I said, I'll just write some notes. I'm not going to make a presentation, and I'm just going to talk. And then I got home and I thought, I should go make a PowerPoint. And then I looked at the kitchen and the dishes, and I said, no, I'm doing the dishes. I'm not making the PowerPoint. I'm doing the dishes. And then I actually sat down. I did some breathing. I have this heating thing I have to do on my back. And I had a timer set when I needed to go and launch Zoom. And I said to the other 2 ladies, I almost made a PowerPoint, and I resisted. And they said, good for you. You're a great example.
See, and I love that. That's permission
You're a great
for
example.
other people. That's awesome.
And the presentation was great. We only had about 35 show up because we told them the person had canceled and we were doing kind of a different version. Everybody was like, thank you so much. That was so cool how you did the 7 categories. You gave us so much to think about. I didn't need the PowerPoint.
And that would have just put more stress on you. You're going to, you see the dishes. Now I got to make a PowerPoint. Now I got to do this. And that was so good that you're like, listen, I'm going to wash the dishes and breathe, So that was really good. Is there a time that you step back and say, I'm not doing that?
I'm trying to think of a time, an example. So obviously I do have an issue, right? Yeah, I can't really think of an issue where I backed out of something right off the top of my head. But yeah, I think it needs to happen more often. I think for me is I need to take time to sit and not jump on the yes. And really absorb it and say, is this something I really want to do? Is it something I need to do? Can I really fit it into my time schedule? So I think for me, I react too quickly and say yes.
Yeah.
So that'll be my practice.
Yep.
Yeah.
You got to practice that.
Yeah.
I practice, that's an interesting opportunity. I need to look at my calendar, my schedule, and I need to get back to you. I don't always do it. Sometimes I fall into the yes first. But if you practice that, then you have time to say, do I want to do this?
It's so funny because working from home, you're expected to say yes. You're not doing anything. I am working, I am doing something.
Yes.
But it doesn't look like that because you're working from home. So it's like, it's an automatic yes for you. And, and mostly family too. You can't say no to family. So you're there for example, which I don't mind if you watch it, I had to watch my niece's son. He's like 1. He just turned 1. So it's like baby right here all day, and you're thinking, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta do that. And so my sister picked up the baby yesterday, and she was like, I said, I didn't do any work. She was like, it's okay. It's okay. You're going to be okay. Yeah. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to be okay. But, I'm home. I need to work.
You did good work. You held the baby for a day.
Yeah, no, for 3 days,
Oh, my goodness.
It was 3 days because, my mom usually watched the baby, but she went to Jamaica. So the next family member that's home, which is me, got the job. And so I'm just like, I got to do this. And he won't stop crying. And it was just a lot. But, it happened. And so it's like you're expected to say yes sometimes. Do you find that you're expected to say yes? And I love you all. I love the baby. I love everybody. Okay? Don't come for me. Don't take it as anything. But do you find that it's difficult to say yes? No, especially with a family member?
Of course. It's never easy. I think just putting that out there too, just acknowledging that it's never easy. It's just how much do you really want to extend yourself sometimes? How much space do you actually have to keep stretching yourself? And trust me, I've stretched myself to many limits. But I've learned that I don't serve anyone well when I am stretched beyond capacity. So I really started to look within myself to say that I can't hold any more. You know, I have to be very cautious of that, because then nothing is handled well. You know, back to that thought process.
And that's so good. Like, how much can you hold? You know, and when you go to say yes, or you go to do something, or go to do that extra, you ask yourself, that's such a good question. How much can I hold? How much can I take? You know? So in line with that, let's give our audience, our listening audience, some tips that they can use when they're, you know, multitasking or asked to do things that's extra on their plate. What are some tips?
I mean, start to also assess too, is resentment going to build? If I do this, am I going to feel resentful? Or how am I going to feel? I think sometimes that for me, that helps me kind of navigate a little better, that this isn't going to add to my life at this moment. This is actually going to cause me more stress, more anxiety, more stretch. Can I just put this down for the time being, and kind of really assess each thing as it comes and where you are at any given moment. I think that too, like, recognize we are different people every single day, and we are allowed to feel how we feel on that day, and we might not have space for it today, but maybe I'll have space tomorrow.
Yeah, that's so good. But what about those who take offense to your, I don't want to do that?
That's their learning
I was
process.
going to say the same thing. That's them.
At some point, you got to take the ownership off yourself.
And sometimes there's like a, you know, who moved the cheese moment where you're changing things up, and then people get angry. They're like, "What do you mean? Like, you always say yes, you know?"
Yeah.
So sometimes you're in that space where you're making a change, and at that you have to sort of, you know, learn to feel that energy of, you know, people not being happy with you every minute.
That's right.
I have a tip. How I got to this point of over a year of giving up some things is I started tracking what I was trying to get done and realizing that it literally wasn't possible. And I was not getting done the things that were my priorities, that were my goals, that were going to move me forward. So that was when it was like, this is so obvious. It still took me months to like get up the courage to say, oh my gosh, I'm not going to do this anymore. But I think you have to really look at your life. What are you trying to do? Is it possible? And if it's not, which are the pieces that are really the priorities and the goals?
One of the best advice I have ever heard, my friend Annette, if you're listening, hi, love you, was she said, if you prioritize your life will form around those priorities. If you put them out there, your life, and I can tell you 100% that is fact. And you really hold to those priorities. Like, same even with my job, do I want peace or do I want money? You know, and that's hard, but you know, you sometimes got to make the more peaceful choice for yourself.
Yeah, you got to make the more peaceful choice for yourself. And you got to like find a quiet working place, right? Those are my tips. Find a quiet working place. Learn to say no. It's okay to say no. They might be mad. They might be sad. They might look at you funny, but still say no. You don't have to do what you don't want to do. And another thing, slow down. Take a breath like Carolyn did. Put your feet up. Set your timer. When you're ready to move, you move. You know what I'm saying? So take your time. Breathe. Let go. It's okay. Take care of yourself. It's a tough process, right, Denise? Right?
It is a tough process. It's, you know, it's a journey that you're on. And I think one of the really important things is to ask yourself, why am I saying yes to? Because sometimes is it like, really, is that how I get my self-worth from doing all these things? And then people like me, or so really looking inward, I think is important. And then recognizing limitations, you know, that we're limited in the amount of hours we need sleep, we need exercise, you know, whatever our needs are, because very often I don't balance that into the equation. And then I'm stretched all the time. So this is a major problem for me. So I'm learning from all of you listening today. And it's really something good to look at.
Yeah, and like Carolyn said earlier, it's a practice. It's something you have to practice. And you said something in there. get your sleep, get your rest,
Mhm.
you can't do anything if you are tired. You can, but it won't be productive. And so we talked about multitasking, and that's what it is. It's just switching up your brain, doing too many things at a time, and it's really not good for you. It causes anxiety, it causes depression, it causes stress, your low decrease in productivity, and you don't want that. So I guess, Carolyn, you got to just have an agenda, a plan, and you put on your plan, you take one thing, the most important thing that you have to get done, and focus on that thing instead of focusing on 3, 4, 5 things. You know what I mean? Right?
Rest, this has been a very new thing for me, that I've allowed myself to rest. And I just said this to someone before I came here. I have done more with rest than I've done with action in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Because I just feel life just settling in the way it's meant to, versus me trying to grab out of fear, out of self-worth, out of other people's perceptions. If I just let myself land, that's when the stuff comes to you, instead of trying to make everything work. It doesn't work out that way.
Wow, that's some good stuff right there.
That is good stuff, Donna.
Stuff, Donna. Carolyn, you look like you have a thought. Any last thoughts?
I think we need to be nicer to ourselves and, not multitasking, saying no, doing our priorities, being nicer to ourselves and to the ones that we're, love and take care of.
That's right. Denise, any last thought?
No, I think it's true. I think we're better people when we, prioritize and slow down a little bit. Yep. It's a good goal.
Good goals. Listen, there you have it. All the tips. Take some time apart. Breathe. Make goal. Make a planner. Get your rest. Stop multitasking. It's going to be there tomorrow. Listen, as long as you live, you're going to always have something to do. So don't worry. Don't stress yourself out. Don't play games with your brain, because in multitasking, you're switching tasks, your brain is switching with it, and so it's like this. And I don't know, I wonder if that leads to Alzheimer's or dementia. You guys look that up and let us know in the comments, okay? Okay, because that's me multitasking right now. See how easy that happens? Listen, I am Dr. Joan Coleman. I'm with my friend
Donna Hutchinson,
Carolyn Poiker,
Denise Cavalier.
and this is The Exchange. We're here to empower, to inspire, to uplift you, to make you feel all good, and to give you some great tips while we are at it. Thanks for listening. Share, like, comment, go to CNJ TV Facebook page and watch us there also. And we appreciate you. You appreciate these guys?
of course. Thank you so much for listening. It's so exciting.
Thank you.
We're excited to be here.
Yes, and check us out on Anchor FM and Spotify podcasts. All right, we're there too. And I'm Dr. Joan Coleman, and this is The Exchange. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.